All right, so here we go. We just got by far one of the biggest updates from the dev team. Check it out. We got dodge roll changes, checkpoint changes, item changes, rare monster changes, currency changes, map mod changes, unlucky, drop protection, click to move, in-game maps, and much more. Yes, a bunch of new hotfixes, patches that we have to go over in this blog post, so brace yourselves, here we go. So yes, we've got hotfixes and patches to go over, and the beginning of this blog post kind of reads like an intro, but trust me, there's some important bits in here. Check it out. Hi everyone, the launch weekend has been a blast. We've really enjoyed seeing all of you get your hands on the game and finally try out the project we have been working on for so long. But now that the launch weekend is over, it's time for us to look at the feedback and make some changes. There are lots more things to come. The list in this post are some of the things we felt needed to be urgently addressed. Some of these changes have already been deployed without a realm restart. Others will be deployed in an upcoming patch. So hopefully as we go through this list, they actually clarify what has been updated currently, and then of course what's coming up in that upcoming patch. So let's find out. So first of all, about those dodge roll changes, as a lot of players have expressed frustration over being trapped in by monsters. While it is intended that monsters are able to trap and kill you, we felt that the frequency of this was a little too high. So yes, this can absolutely feel infuriating, so let's find out what they're going to do about it. So they go on to say this: we will be deploying the following changes in an upcoming patch. So this has not been applied yet apparently. They say player size is now set to 0 units while dodge rolling instead of 1 unit. Some smaller monsters can now be pushed while dodge rolling. This includes monsters such as the Adorned Beetles in Keth. So that should definitely alleviate some of the frustration with feeling like you're getting trapped. So that's good news. But they did note this, that yes, you can still be trapped. A player size of 0 can still not phase through monsters, but it can get through even the smallest gap between them. So this is definitely a nice change, but it does seem like the dev team wants you to fear mobs. You know, of course, you fear bosses, but at the same time, they want to have this idea in place that maybe, just maybe, you can accidentally corner yourself if you're not careful about your positioning and your tactical thinking about the map space, so you still have to be mindful even still. But it's nice to note that we will have some options here to wiggle ourselves out of a bad situation. And there's been a lot of discussion around these things right here. Yes, the checkpoints. Let's find out what they're going to be changing with those. And the good news is that the dev team did notice this right here. A lot of players have been reporting that it can be tedious to need to retread areas of the map in order to get back to the objectives they already found, which yes, has definitely been a pain. And here's what they're going to do about the situation. They say this: we will be deploying the following change in an upcoming patch. Clicking on a checkpoint will allow you to teleport to other checkpoints in the area that are explored on your minimap. That is a nice change right there. Checkpoints have been added to all entrances and exits of zones to allow for teleportation. And a checkpoint has been added to the midpoint of the first Dreadnought area. And this is a big win for sure, and I think a lot of the community will be exceptionally happy about this, especially considering how much of a maze a lot of those maps are in the in-game. So yeah, again, this game is only getting better, and it looks like the team is taking your feedback very seriously. And they put a little note here saying we will be making further adjustments to checkpoint positions as we continue to gather feedback. So this is not the end of the story for checkpoints and the way you traverse the map. Curious to see what they might do in the future. If you have any ideas of what you would like to see, go ahead and sound off. Now, loot or lack of loot has been a big discussion, and the team definitely noticed. In fact, they go on to say this: one of the major problems that players have been experiencing is feeling that the game is not rewarding enough. This is an area that we have to be very careful when adjusting, because it's very hard to reduce drops if we increase them by too much. So I gotta say, I absolutely love the honesty here from the dev team. It's gotta be a tough spot that they are in here, of course. And yes, you don't wanna make loot too common, or you just destroy the importance of finding those rare items. And all they have to say for now about loot is they've identified a few key areas that they believe will significantly improve the experience that players are having. I know it's a bummer they don't expand upon exactly what they plan to do with loot. Just know the experience, I guess, is going to be improving here. So yes, I do think there is a good reason to be hopeful for some really nice changes. But they jumped the discussion to, yes, rare monster changes, saying this: we felt that rare monsters were not rewarding enough. They didn't affect the campaign as much because there are more unique bosses, increasing the overall amount of drops, but it's especially noticeable when playing in the endgame where unique monsters are less common. And they say in particular, the reward that you were getting for the increased difficulty of rares wasn't lining up. So this is what is changing right here. They say this: we have deployed the following changes. So this has been deployed. Rarity bonus per rare mod has been doubled, plus 10% quantity bonus per rare mod, and increase the chance of rare monsters inherently having more modifiers as you progress through the in-game. It's nice to see they are immediately hopping on the problems with the in-game and nailing them down one by one. This one was a big complaint, so yeah, that is awesome to note that the in-game is going to feel a little bit more rewarding and lively. But they also go on to say this, and this is really important: these changes will cause rare monster rewards to naturally scale up as you get to higher levels because the number of mods a monster can have increases throughout the campaign and into the in-game. In addition, many other forms of map juicing will indirectly cause rare monsters to have more mods as well, increasing the rewards of these other mechanics too. Also note the change below to make sure each map has a minimum number of rares, which will also increase the average number of rare mods and thus increasing drops further. And I'm sure this next part will definitely interest you. It's about currency changes, as we felt that players were not getting enough of certain currency either in the early game or to sustain adding mods to maps. So this right here is what the dev team had to say. They say, we have deployed the following changes. Regal Orb drop rates increased around 40%, disenchanting of 6 mod rares to give 2 Regal shards instead of 1. You can chalk those up to some very big wins right there. But they're not stopping there, because lesser jewelers orb drop rates have been increased around 33%, reduce the drop rate of chaos orbs slightly as they are less valued, and so that it doesn't consume so much of the rare currency drop pool. This causes currency such as exalted orbs to increase somewhat. That's actually really smart thinking, to kind of like nerf the unimportant stuff to buff the more important things. I guess you would word it that way. It's a nice balance adjustment. And Gem Cutter's prism drop rates have been increased by a whopping 500%, and Gem Cutter's prisms now increase quality on gems by 5% instead of 1%. And I think the next bit will excite a lot of you guys because it involves map mod changes. It says, like with rares, we felt that players were not being rewarded enough for the difficulty that was being added by map mods. We have significantly increased the value of all prefix map mods. And can I say, it definitely feels like Christmas right now? And they go ahead and detail those changes right here. We have changed all map prefix mods, but some example changes we have deployed are: rarity mods have been increased by 2.5x. Quantity mods have had extra rarity added to them. This is now in a later patch. And they've also removed the bottom tier of some mods, and you are much more likely to roll modifiers that affect drops or pack size rather than the less useful mods. So yeah, they are really honing in on that in-game, fine-tuning it as we go through early access. And can I say, I'm super impressed by the rapid speed at which they're updating this game. Man, it is crazy so far. And I also go ahead and talk about unlucky drop protection. One of the major issues we have identified are outlier unlucky drops. A single unique boss dropping badly, especially early on, can significantly affect your character. And they confirm they deployed the following changes: no more than 50% of a unique monster's drops can be gold. And this is the big one: act bosses and map bosses will always drop at least 1 rare. And I think that one change is going to be absolutely significant to the in-game experience, especially with how the loot feels. So yeah, that is a huge change. And they did have additional notes here saying the first of these changes is more significant than it first appears because players can't see the difference between normal and rare gold piles. You'll get more equipment and currency items, which can take more advantage of the rarity increase that unique monsters provide. And what's going on with click to move? There was an issue where the move only command was name locking. This would often result in your character confusingly attacking in an unexpected direction while holding down this action. So they deployed the following change: move only, no longer name locks. So once again, great news. And even more about those in-game maps. A concern for players in in-game maps is accidentally missing the rare monsters. In addition, many maps did not have the number of rare monsters that they should have had. So how are they fixing it, you ask? Well, rare monsters now appear on the minimap when there are 200 monsters remaining instead of 50, and minimaps will have additional rare monsters added to them to make sure that there are a minimum number of every map type. And they confirmed also over the coming weeks they will be continuing to work on map layouts and monster density issues on maps. So a lot of you guys have complained that it feels a bit time consuming and very tedious to explore some of these in-game maps. So hopefully they're going to make them more path friendly in the future. Sounds like that's part of the plan. And they go on to say that there's full-blown patch notes as well beyond this. I guess they consider the other changes to be somewhat minor, but you can read those full patch notes for yourself. I'll throw those in the description below, a link to that, so check it out. And they go on to note that yes, this is only the beginning. More changes are going to be happening. These are just the very quick ones they can get to since they're so easy to fix and adjust. But yeah, expect even bigger patches going forward. We'll see what happens. This is early access. Yes, expect things to be very, very dynamic and constantly changing up. But it seems like they really want to head in the direction to make this game better and not really piss off their fan base. Even when they are doing nerfs, I've noticed they have something to say about updating that skill that they are nerfing, that hey, this is not the end, this is like part 1 of 2 updates. Yes, consider a temporary nerf, but we're going to be adjusting things in the future. So it's good to see that they're so communicative about, concerns from the community. But yes, now it's time to go over your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It can end up right here in a future video. And I gotta agree with this first top comment here, as do many of you. It says, do people forget it's early access? They need to react and implement nerfs, buffs, and changes to make sure this game is going to the right direction and is ready for release. Couldn't agree more, and very well said. I think we all know what we're getting involved with. If you're not expecting any changes in early access, all I gotta say is good luck. And we got this next comment here. I'm pretty sure people are not using the gyms efficiently and support gyms. I'm struggling, but the struggle is good. I want to play a game, not be handed a W. Couldn't agree more on that one. And yeah, you got to utilize absolutely everything in your arsenal. The gyms, support gyms, all of it. You cannot neglect it whatsoever, every step of the way. And we also have, I wouldn't care much about balancing. It's an early access. We are testing the game. It's just a bonus that the game is already polished as hell and offers a ton of fun. Isn't that the truth? I really haven't run into any groundbreaking errors or bugs that are absolutely destroying my experience. I don't know if that's the case for you guys, but yes, this is so far an exceptionally polished game for being in early access. And yes, this is the beta version. This is what it's for, balance and find the issues. But we got this one, party loot needs to be fixed. Why in 2024 are there only loot options, free for all or permanent allocation? The game decides which piece of loot belonged to what player. Did a boss with my buddy last night and the game gave him every piece of loot from the boss while I got none. Fix the party loot system. It's absurd. It's like this in 2024. Yeah, that definitely sounds like something that will be adjusted here in early access. Pretty surprising that it's like that. Kind of strange. All right, so anyway, there it is. The latest happenings around Path of Exile 2. As always, I have you guys covered on this one, Stalker 2, and yes, the Space Marine 2 update should be out today, so I've actually got to hop on that as well. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see. Stay tuned here for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.